Welcome to FBB Forum. My name is David, and this podcast is dedicated to all the amazing women competing in bodybuilding. If you like this content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow my YouTube and Instagram pages. I'm very pleased to welcome the amazing women's physique pro, Daphney Holmes, to the podcast. Daphney lives in South Florida with her husband, Keith, and she works as a nurse manager down there. Daphney's most recent competition was the 2023 Tampa Pro, where she placed eighth in the open division in a very stacked class. And she also placed fifth in the Masters 40 and over division. And she is planning on competing this year, so definitely stay tuned to find out where she'll compete next. Welcome, Daphney. It's great to see you and great to have you here.
Thank you, David. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Um, and so my first few questions are about how you got started in bodybuilding, and I was curious if you had an athletic or a sports background before you started competing.
Actually, I did. I didn't know much about bodybuilding at all, but I had always been an athlete since a young age. My favorite sport was mostly track and field.
Okay.
So that's pretty much how I got started. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, a tomboy, racing the boys in the neighborhood, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, kind of being, I guess, a tough girl for lack of better words. But yeah, so I've always been into sports since I was a young child. And as far as how I got into bodybuilding, it actually found me. I loved weight training. I was always in the gym, even when I was pregnant with my two children. I still continued to weight train. And after my second child, I knew that I wasn't going to have anymore. I just dedicated more time into weightlifting than I did cardio.
Okay.
And someone took my first coach, Marty. He actually took notice. He's based out of here in South Florida, and I followed his wife, Jeannie Feldman.
Oh, yeah, Jeannie Feldman. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
she's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're very close friends. That's who I actually started off with.
Okay.
She was my inspiration. I followed her page before actually even knowing or having an interest in bodybuilding, I should say. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, this woman and I were close in age, and we both have children, and her physique was phenomenal. So I just kind of started watching her, and somehow I got to know her husband and her in person. He reached out and asked if I was interested in bodybuilding. I'm like, no, I just kind of like watching the sport. But I want to go back. I actually was a lifestyle client of Maria. She's the promoter for the Southern States.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I've been to that show a few times. That's a
Okay,
great show.
yes. So
Yeah.
actually, I should say she was my first introduction in that I was just a lifestyle client of hers, and I knew she had clients who were bodybuilders. So I kind of got an introduction to that world through her eyes, but was never interested until Marty approached me and, asked if I would, consider doing it. And the first time he asked, I was like, no, I don't think so. And then we talked about it the second time. I said, what do I have to lose? Why not give it a try? And I did. And Southern States was my first show in 2018. I fell in love with the process. It was hard mentally and physically, but it afforded me something outside of, being a nurse manager and being a mom full time.
Yeah.
And it was something that I was able just to kind of do for me. It was my free time. I considered it a luxury. So that's how I fell into it. And then in 2019, I did the Anna Level show as a little warm up to go into Team Universe. And that's when I turned pro, was Team Universe in 2019.
Now, when you first started in 2018 and 2019, which division did you do?
I started off with women's physique.
Okay.
Um, we toyed with the idea of doing both figure and women's physique, but I remember telling Marty, I am not getting on stage in heels.
Yeah.
Just learning the poses for a woman's physique competitor was challenging enough. Plus, I had to
Yeah.
also do a routine. So I told him, let's do one or the other. And he figured because I've always had big arms, he figured that with the size of my biceps and my arms, he's like, you know what, you actually may get thrown out of figure. So let's just keep it to women's physique. And so that's what we did. And we just been moving into that, you know, realm for a while now.
Well, I support that because I think women's physique's awesome. I love the posing routine and, you really get to flex and show off your physique too that way.
Yeah, I agree. It's a beautiful, beautiful category.
And your posing is good too. I do remember seeing you at the 2023 Tampa Pro, and yeah, your posing was great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I have some great coaches that I've worked with. Sharonica, my posing coach. And there's a young lady named Coco Corain. She's always done my choreography. We've worked together for years. So I definitely have to credit those two women for helping me in that area.
Oh yeah, Sharonica's amazing. I was really pleased with her comeback last year
I
too.
know. I was super excited. I've been a big fan of hers for years. I remember first seeing her at the Arnold. I think that might have been 2019 for me when I actually got to go in person and saw her on stage. And I told her when her and I became acquaintances and later on friends. I told her that she was really my inspiration to stay in the sport
Oh
because
wow.
yeah, because like I said, my first year as a bodybuilder, it was challenging because it was so different for me, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep going. And then
Hmm.
I saw her routine. At the Arnold's, and I, I, I I know I think she did her routine to a Tina Turner song. I can't remember, but I just remember looking at her and I'm just like, God, that was amazing. And I was just like, okay, if I'm feeling this moment, I have to stay in it and see how far I could go. So she was definitely my inspiration to keep going. So seeing her come back, super excited for her. I mean, when you talk about a comeback story, that's definitely one to brag about.
I agree. Yeah, she's phenomenal, and I always liked her look, but it's great to see her come back after building her posing coach business,
Yeah.
and yeah, no, she's phenomenal. I'm excited for this year too,
Hmm.
and she's already qualified for the Olympia too. Because she got top three.
Right.
So yeah, definitely excited for her. So yeah. um, um, well, maybe this is the same answer, but
Yeah.
do you have like a fitness role model or somebody you really look up to in bodybuilding? I mean, it might be Sharonica too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of great women. I mean, you can't talk about bodybuilding without mentioning to Miss Linda Murray, the fact that she is still in the sport with regards to, her commentating and her support, showing up her own show. I see pictures of her from when she was competing, phenomenal. I mean, she just celebrated, I think she posted her 63rd birthday, and she looks amazing, being too that she's a woman of color in the sport for me, just someone who I admire just in how she carries herself in general. Just a great ambassador for the sport in itself. And then, of course, there's been some other women that I've come to know along the way just by being at the shows. There's Jeannie, of course. She was one
Mhm.
that definitely inspired me from the very beginning, Jeannie Feldman. And like I said, her and her husband are like family to me. I've known them for years. And there's just been some great people who I've seen on stage. Of course, our current Miss Women's Physique Olympia, Sarah.
Yeah. Mhm.
There's Natalia. There's, just a bunch of women that when you follow their career and how they continue to work in the sport, supporting, people coming into it, it's a great camaraderie of just some fabulous women. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, those are some amazing ladies. I remember seeing Linda Murray when she first competed on. I remember she was in ESPN, I think,
Oh,
and
wow.
she won her pro card at the North Americans, and not too long after that, she won the Olympia, because she was so phenomenal. She just looked so
Yeah.
good, and I've met her a few times. She's really nice too. She's such a good
She's
person.
just a lovely, very supportive person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she is. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, those are good role models for sure. Now I was curious for was it tough for you to get up on stage in a bikini for your first show? Were you kind of nerve wracking or nervous?
The whole thing, the whole experience was different. Yeah, I had never stepped out in public like that before. So definitely stepping out of my comfort zone and just doing something different.
Mhm.
But like I said, I'm glad that I did it. I go back and I look at my camera reel and videos from that 2000 Southern States and 2018 Southern States, and I think to myself, wow, we've come a long. way.
Wow, yeah, I bet.
You
Yeah.
know, um, from size to the I actually did my own choreograph for the first one, and I was just like, what was I thinking? But
Oh
you know,
no.
but I tried my best, and
Yeah.
nonetheless, it earned me second place in my class and got me nationally qualified. So I did something right
Uh-huh.
as an amateur, but now like I get on stage and I don't even really think about what I'm wearing. I'm not uncomfortable in my own skin, so to speak.
Yeah.
It really becomes an art. I think you've heard people say that before. It becomes what you do on stage is your trademark. It's your brand, if that's how you're looking at it. So yeah, I didn't think so much about the suit. I was just more concerned about it being my first time, like my physique. And again, we tell every amateur the same thing when you get on stage, just have fun with it. So that's what really, was my thoughts in
Yeah.
showcasing that. But yeah, I think I've gotten over that whole modesty of, wearing the two piece.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I understand. It just, yeah, it's not a lot of clothing, so I could see it being intimidating at first, but
Yeah.
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 Um, but yeah, no, and in terms of looking back at Southern states, I mean, we all got to start somewhere too,
Hmm.
yeah, so and we all progress too, so yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Now, my next few questions about competing, and I was
Hmm.
the your like we said, or like I said during the intro, the 2023 Tampa Pro was your most recent competition,
Yes.
and you placed eighth in the Open and fifth in Masters 40 and over. What was your
Yes.
experience like at that show? Did you enjoy it?
I was extremely happy because I've been a pro since 2019 and I've been doing Tampa Pro since that time.
Hmm.
I've never missed Tampa Pro as a competitor except for last year. But I worked the show because I'm also part of Mr. Gardner's team and I get to travel with his team from time to time too.
Yeah.
So I was able to participate in it that way. But yeah, I was extremely happy because again, having shown up at previous Tampa Pro shows, I had never placed as well.
Oh yeah.
Um, and so to have finally break that top 10 in open and then get fifth in masters for me was a huge accomplishment, and one that I'm very proud of. It may not mean a lot to some other people because it's not first place or top five or top three, whatever the case is. But for me, knowing where I came from and the work that I've been putting in with my mentors and the coaches that I've worked with, I was happy with it. I'm not in a rush to accomplish first place in any competition that I participate in. I mean, of course, that's the goal. I mean, I definitely don't compete just for participation. I want to win,
Yeah.
but I'm okay with uh, a slow progression in my growth and in accomplishing that goal. Because it is
Yeah.
something for most of us will take time. And so, yeah, I was definitely pleased with the outcome of that.
Yeah, that, like I said in the intro too, I mean, it was a really stacked show. I mean, Tampa Pro usually is. They get a lot of
Yes.
competitors. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I thought you did a great job. And you did you get to do your finals routine too, didn't
I
you?
did. I
Oh,
did.
terrific. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the plus of getting in the top 10 too. You get
Yeah,
to
I
do your
got to
finals
do it
routine.
twice, once for the Masters and then I did it again for Open.
Oh, terrific. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I like how Tim does it with Thursday night is Masters and then Friday is the Open for women's
Yeah,
physique.
it could be a little unnerving for us competitors though, because
Yeah.
because as soon as you check in, you're having to then because the check-ins on Thursdays too. So once you check in, you
Oh,
got to get moving, and
yeah.
so yeah. But as we mentioned just before we actually started, recording, that I like doing the masters. I find it to be a little advantageous for me. Yes, it could be taxing, but for me, it kind of helps gets the jitters out, especially when you are now competing in an open class that's so stacked. And I
Yeah.
think that, with most athletes, and I tend to be that way too, I usually kind of look better the day after. and
Yeah.
a
Mhm.
little fuller, a little tighter. So I think that it gives me some advantages to kind of start off with the night before with the masters, watch myself or get the critique, back either from my coach or whoever's with me in the audience, maybe even the coaches, I mean, the judges if they have the time, and then knowing coming back for open what I need to, realize that I need to improve on or do better. So
That's true. Yeah, actually, that is a big advantage actually to be able to do that. Yeah,
mhm.
that's really good. Um, and I know we talked earlier too about competing this year, and
Yes.
you talked about doing Masters and Open, but you might be able to qualify for Masters Olympia too, possibly,
Yeah, yeah.
which would be great. That's in Tokyo this year too.
It
So
is in Tokyo. And,
yeah,
like I said, it's a little scary to travel abroad, I think, because you have to give yourself enough time. Of course, there's the expenses, there's food. But no, it would be a great experience. It'd be pretty exciting to do.
yeah,
But yeah, so we'll see what happens. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
that's awesome. Very cool. Um, and so we talked a little bit before recording also, but in terms of taking 2024 off, you mentioned that you kind of took that year off to improve and to grow.
Right.
But how do you feel that do you feel like you got the results you were hoping for?
I really do. I feel different. I feel like, I look different. I have a great audience when it comes to Instagram too. That keeps me motivated. When you
Mhm.
have your own peers in the sport who actually see you and they're like, "Wow, you look different," especially if they've been following you for years and they could see the improvements, they could see the growth. I kind of rely on that eye because when you look at yourself every day,
Yeah,
sometimes you may not realize your own growth, you don't see your own progression. So I think so far, based on the feedback that I've received from my Instagram followers, people that I see every day in the gym, shout out by the way to Fitness System Sawgrass, which is my home gym in South Florida. I have a really supportive audience and a supportive gym family, and they encourage me when they see me. No, we see the growth, we see you look very different. So yeah, I kind of depend on that. I know some people may say that you shouldn't. But I guess the opinions of my followers and my supporters matter because, like I said, sometimes we're our own worst critics. And
yeah,
so I may look
yeah.
at myself and not see it. But if there's been eyes on the outside looking in at you for so many years or so many months, and they could reassure you of that. I would say that based on what I've heard so far, that I think that it was time off well spent. And I think that we've done some growing, and so we're going to see what happens from here.
That's terrific. Yeah, no, I think from the recent pictures I've seen of you, you do look like you've improved and even I know your arms were already big, but they look bigger now. So it's like, wow, pretty impressive. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's terrific though. I'll make sure to mention your gym too down in the comment section.
Thank you.
Sure. Um Tell me again, where did you get your pro card from?
Team Universe
Oh, in 2019, you
in
said, right? Yeah.
2019. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I bet that was a thrill for you. What was that
It,
experience like?
I was, to tell you the truth, David, I was clueless as to what was going on at the time.
Oh, uh-huh.
I, um, I got my pro card, I want to say 3 times. Because of course there was, I think I did 35 and over at the time, 40 and over, and then I got an overall win. But it's funny because while I was on stage, I was just in the zone and doing my thing. And, my coach I could hear him in the audience at the time. It was KD. He's in Atlanta. He was my coach at the time, Kevin Wilson. And I could hear him, encouraging me. Kenny Wallop was my posing coach at the time, and he was in the audience. And I
Oh
could
yeah.
hear them shouting at me but I didn't realize the whole time that I was in the center. Like I said, I was clueless, to what
Oh,
was
I
going
see.
on.
Uh-huh.
You
Uh-huh.
know, and it's not until I got on stage and they're like, "You got it, you guys." Like, I got what?
Oh, nice. That's
You
really
know, they're like,
cool.
you held the center the whole time. I was like, well, what does that mean? Like, yeah, like I said, the sport was that's how green I was to bodybuilding, if
Yeah,
that tells you anything.
I
I was
see.
just
Yeah.
following what I was told to do. And so I was like, what does that mean though? I was in the center. It's like Daphne, like you were in the center, that's first place. I'm like, oh, okay. And it's like it still didn't register, I guess, because I think I just didn't want to, I don't know, get my hopes too high and go back for finals. What if they change their mind and I'm not, so I just kind of just stayed the course and did my thing. And yeah, I earned three first places, two first places in the overall in my class. And it was really exciting. I didn't have, I guess I didn't really have any anticipation of winning.
Okay.
I just know that I wanted to show up and do my best. I mean, I really put in some work for that show and it obviously paid off. So yeah, it was a great moment. It definitely was a great moment.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's cool that they're out there yelling for you too and saying and yeah, being in center stage like that. That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is that's kind of cute though. You didn't know the
I
significance
had
of
no idea. I didn't know
it.
what was going on. I think by that point I was so hungry and tired. I was just like, and all I kept like, and I kept hearing legs and open up and like smile. I'm like, so I was just going through the motion. And then when it was finally said and done, and it came to me. I'm like, wow, like we actually did that. So.
Oh, that's so awesome. I bet that was, yeah, it must have been thrilling for you.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
show was great. That was the first time I had actually traveled up north for a show, first and last time actually that far. And my brother, who lived in Jersey at the time, I made it a little vacation after the fact and hung out with him. So no, it was an amazing time, an amazing moment. So yeah, I'm happy that I was able to have that experience.
That's terrific. No, that's really cool. I love that. I think that's awesome. Um, I was curious, would you consider moving to women's bodybuilding division, or do you ever think you'd get that big?
I've kind of toyed with the idea a little bit. I would tease my last coach about it because what I realized, of course, is that every year you show up, the feedback is going to always be different from
Mhm.
judge to judge, show to show, and I'm sure, David, you've seen following the sport as closely as you have how every division does change. And we've talked about it as athletes, and even spectators. Sometimes it doesn't seem like we really have a really set criteria of what certain physiques in certain categories should really look like.
Yeah. Mhm.
So sometimes, yeah, it's a little hard to determine for me if I'm coming in just the right way or what I think may be right. And I show up to a stack of women that look bigger than me. And some of them probably do belong in bodybuilding, but they prefer physique. So what does that mean for me? Do I move to or do I grow to? And I notice, of course, as I get older in age and as I do continue to want to put on size, there are certain areas of my body that's going to grow faster than others. Genetically, I think for most Black women, not speaking for all, but at least for myself, um, I tend to grow bottom heavy very quickly,
Okay.
from legs to glutes, which is one of the reasons why at 1 year in 2022, I moved to wellness, for a
Oh,
little bit.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Problem is that as you mentioned, my arms are big. So
Yeah.
we tried really hard, really, really hard to bring them down, but my arms do react to any type of a body movement. It's just one of those areas since I was a young girl that I've always had. But nonetheless, it gave me an advantage to really put on some size on my legs, but I tend to grow in that fashion. For
Yeah.
me, I'm a curvy athlete, I guess, for lack of better words. I tend to keep my waist tight, my upper body, of course, my arms. But as we try to put more size to my back, what I notice is that the bottom half goes along with it too. So we're still doing this, like here, and then we
Uh,
come out this way. So
uh-huh.
because of that reason, I've toyed with the idea, would women's bodybuilding be more suitable for me? Just because
Uh-huh.
what I noticed with some of the women bodybuilding, when you look at like, Ashley Jones, right?
Yeah.
She's beautiful, and but her when I look at her physique, I still see her too as somewhat curvy. You look on
Yeah.
Andrea Shaw, same thing, right? I mean, they come in full muscles, but at the same time, I think that there's something in women's bodybuilding that may be a little bit more suitable for those women who are a little curvier at the bottom, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Definitely makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, so
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, for that reason itself, I've toyed with the idea. I'm not saying that's all it takes. It's just that even now, as I'm in this prep, and again, with no specific definite show in mind, I'm watching myself change every week. I'm pleased with the progression, but I'm seeing some huge size to my legs. Like they are continuing to want to grow.
Oh,
My
great.
glutes they're shaping up, but not so much coming down.
Okay.
And I'm just being realistic and honest about my physique at the moment. And what I noticed too with women's physique, we've moved into having shredded glutes. That used
Yeah,
to not really be a criteria. So
that's
sometimes for
true.
me, that's the concern that I have, is really my bottom half, and really bringing it in as we see now in women's physiques with the shredded glutes, and the conditioning of my legs is usually not an issue, but my glutes definitely tend to grow. and
Yeah,
and then
I got you.
and I know that there's shredded glutes in women's bodybuilding too, but it doesn't seem to be as what's the word that I'm looking for? I guess out there or prominent as I see in women's physique.
Yes, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. No, yeah, I could see you doing pretty good with women's bodybuilding, and there's been so many great competitors that have moved from physique to bodybuilding
hmm
too. So, um, yeah, so you wouldn't rule it out. That
I
might,
certainly wouldn't, because
yeah.
in my improvement season, I maintain a average weight of about one between 166, 168. I didn't go that much higher. And
Mhm.
even now in starting, I still seem to hold on to that number. Like I mentioned to you, I'm leaning out,
Yeah,
but that number is not fluctuating much. So I'm not sure what that is. We'll see. I take it as a positive, because then I was like, okay, maybe, of course, there's water retention, as you're on a certain protocol, etc. And then, but at the same time, I don't feel that I look flat most of the time. My muscles still look full, so it's a good sign. I will see how things move along, but no, I wouldn't rule it out. If someone saw the opportunity for me to go that way, so we'll see.
that's awesome. I think that'd be terrific. Yeah, that'd be good if you can do that. So, yeah, but either way is good. Just yeah, I'm glad you ditched the heels though, because it's better to do physique or bodybuilding, get to do the posing routine. But
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I did have a lot of fun with. I did have some fun with wellness. That the sassiness, the sensuality, and giving a little bit of face when you're on stage, and it was fun. It was fun, and it did give me an advantage where I trained legs for like a whole year. It definitely helped bring them up. So
oh yeah, I bet.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was fun.
That's cool. Very cool. I was curious if there's any advice you could provide to ladies who are listening in to who are seeking to earn their pro card, because I know it takes a lot of hard work and dedication, but any other tips you could provide?
Well, besides the top two that you just mentioned, I would say is just take your time. You know what I mean? I think we've all heard it at some point or the other that the stage will always be there.
Yeah.
I just don't believe in rushing things. I've been very pleased with the pace of my growth. I've
Mhm.
only been competing since 2018. I feel that the growth that the size and the growth that I've done has been managed well. It's been managed safely. I feel that it's allowed me to maintain a very still feminine side of myself. And I put health first. Um, I love bodybuilding, but I do love my career, my children, my family more.
Yeah.
And so, I pace myself in this sport because I want it to be something that I can continue to do for a while. But at the same time, once I decide, okay, to hang up, the suit, so to speak, to still be able to maintain a physique that I could be proud of. So I think that again, it's I don't do it just to compete. It is a lifestyle for me. I want to be, you know, a woman of a certain age and still look great. You look again like
Yeah.
Miss Linda Murray. You look at, Iris. Like these are women who have been in the industry for a long time, but even at their age, they have a beautiful and strong physique. And so my thing is that, just to let young women know, take your time.
Hmm.
Um, for them to remember that they are still aging and to do it gracefully. You don't want to push yourself too hard that when you do get a certain age, you don't even look it. You look
Yeah.
older than you're supposed to, or your
Uh,
body's gone through so much that you can't recover from certain things. Because
right.
again, the stage is always going to be there. We have great forms, like yours, and supporters that
Thanks.
is always going to see this sport through. So I just don't think that there's any reason to rush anything.
That's good. That's good advice. I like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think there are some competitors that maybe do rush things and then they kind of like flame out and then you never
Mhm.
really see them again because
Right.
they're kind
Right.
of burned out early,
Mhm.
so which is not good, not good for your health either, too. So yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. I was curious, what do you feel is like your best muscle group or and what muscle group do you feel needs the most improvement?
So my best asset has always been my biceps.
Yeah.
I was given the name, I remember after Team Universe, when you're getting your shot, your individual shot after you get your trophy, I did a front double bicep. And that picture kind of went, I don't want to say viral, but it caught a lot of people's attention. And I
Yeah.
had a friend of mine, or acquaintance that follows me on Instagram, and I remember they messaged me like, Daph, like your biceps are insane, like you're the arm queen, and that actually
Yeah.
became a nickname for me.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I actually had started to create some. I think I still have some old merchandise, like hoodies and tank tops and even mugs that had a silhouette of my front double bicep from Team Universe.
Oh, yeah.
And
Nice.
then I had a Arm Queen collection, so to speak. So it was short lived, but it was fun to kind of put out there. And I still have people that still call me the Arm Queen. So yeah, my arms, my biceps are definitely an asset. As far as areas for improvement, I would say is to continue to work on my back,
Okay.
you know, a little bit more thickness and width. So that's what we've been focusing on. So
Okay.
yeah, I would say that those would be those areas in question.
That's terrific. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, your arms are really amazing. I could see you having the Arm Queen moniker. Yeah, they're I kind of have a silhouette back
I
here.
see that. I was just like,
Yeah.
hey, is that mine? I'm just kidding.
I hired a bodybuilder to who's a graphic designer to make that for me,
Uh-huh.
Paige Sabitra, and yeah, I love that. I think it's neat to have that. Definitely kind of fits the FBB forum theme there. Um, um, Now I know you're working with Sharonica as posing coach, but are you working with a prep coach too?
I am. I'm working this year with Mr. Yuman Eaton. Yuman has been in the industry now for about 20 years. Um, Hold on, just I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem.
So he is based out of Boca Raton. He's an IFBB pro himself.
Okay.
As I mentioned, Yuman has been in the industry since he was 19 years old. He started off. I know that when I knew of him, he was a 212 competitor that moved into the open.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, and if you go to his page, maybe you recognize him. But real cool guy. Again, he's local. And so yeah, I have him as my prep coach this year.
How do you spell his first name?
Yumon,
Y-U-M-I-N. Oh,
and the
cool.
last
Make
name is
sure.
Eaton, Eaton.
Oh, cool, cool. Okay. I'll make sure to include his his info down below in the comments, as well as Sharonica too. So
Yeah, yeah, he's a great guy. He's very knowledgeable. Love the way he breaks things down for me. I think it's just me being a nurse. Sometimes n- things just need to connect, and the science and stuff like that. But no, so
yeah.
far, I mean, we just started working together February. But
Oh
so far,
wow.
I'm really, but we've known each other for a while.
Okay.
And so I'm really excited to see how things turn out.
Now I know South Florida, and are you in Miami?
I'm actually in an area called Pembroke Pines, which is Broward County.
Oh yeah. Okay, so you're not too terribly far. I was curious if you get to train with him in person.
Yes, he trains out of Athletic Factor Gym
Okay.
in Pompano Beach. If you're familiar with that gym, great place. Another, I would also say that's also a home gym for me since I do train with him weekly out of that gym.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's good to be able to see your coach in
Oh
person
yeah,
if you
definitely.
can.
Yeah.
And
I've worked with coaches remotely. It's never been a problem. Just because I'm just kind of like type A anyway. So if you tell me to do something, I act on it and I always follow through. But definitely having someone in person that could see you weekly, in person to see how you're progressing, I really do like that. And again, like we do get to train together, so I'm learning a lot of different techniques from him.
mhm.
So far it's been a great experience.
I think that's a game changer to have a coach you can see in person like that. Because I do, for them to be able to, like you said, see you and see your progression and see where
Yes.
you need to do some work. I mean,
Right.
I think that's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we know sometimes pictures doesn't say it all or videos don't say it all. We know that just being spectators of the sport, watching how
Yeah.
things develop online or live versus being in the actual audience, right? You
Yeah. That's
you
right.
know that because you know the difference between being in the audience and what you see and actually see it in, on a pay-per-view or live television.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
I kind of treat, with having a coach in the same way. Sometimes seeing your athlete in person tells a better story or bigger story versus what you're seeing in videos and in pictures. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it kind of for me helps the momentum to keep going, and the feedback is in real time, and we know what we really need to focus on. And when I'm training with him, having him being hands on and showing me different techniques. I mean, everything that we do when we are in the gym makes a huge difference. And so, like I said, I'm learning so much from him that even when I'm not training with him, I am still making sure that I'm incorporating what he's teaching me when I'm training I shouldn't say on my own because I never do train on my own, but with my husband.
Okay.
So mhm.
That's terrific. No, I think that's really good. And yeah, I do think Kevin, um, there's just a missing element. I think when it's strictly online coaching, I think that it's really helpful to have a person, coach seeing you in person. And what you mentioned too about going to the shows, I definitely encourage like the fans and the enthusiasts to go to shows and
Mhm.
see the ladies in person because
Yeah.
y'all are just so impressive. Like seeing you in person, it's amazing. It's definitely different than photos or videos. Y'all just kind of pop up on stage. It's amazing to see. So, um, I was curious, what would you say is the most challenging aspect of competition prep for you?
Um, I think really it's a juggling act for me. Um, but I'm grateful that I'm able to manage it all. But no, it's a lot to be a full-time career woman. My schedule is Monday through Friday at work. As a
Mhm.
nurse manager, I have 24 7 days a week accountability for my department as well.
Wow. Yeah.
So it can be a stressful job, and we know that stress on the body and how it causes, certain changes or whatever. So trying to maintain a level where I could stay even and balance sometimes is a challenge. I'm a mother of two girls,
Mhm.
both school age. So what they do academically and then just in growing is certainly important to me. So I keep on them as well. And then
Mhm.
and then a wife and an athlete.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a lot
so
to juggle though,
but
huh?
so if I have to say what's challenging, it's life
Yeah,
in
I bet. That's
general.
a lot to juggle, isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
just a yeah, it's a lot to juggle. But David, I'm very grateful that I have people in my life, from my husband to my children, and even the people that I work with that are very supportive. It's so funny when I start a job or wherever I work and people find out that I'm a bodybuilder, they're super encouraging. They have a lot of questions. They sometimes could see my physique changing. I've had a lot say that they want to come to a show and support me. Um, as a manager, sometimes I'm in and out of meetings all day, so they don't give me a hard time if I have to bring my food and my big water bottle or whatever to a meeting. They know why I'm doing it. So they don't judge. People have been supportive. My kids are awesome. Before I married Keith, it was just three of us. And I remember work, getting them home, bathe, fed, schoolwork, bed. And it's when they went to bed, I lived in an apartment building, so it had a gym. And
Uh-huh.
so I had a camera on my kids, went downstairs to the gym and trained. And
Oh, wow. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
And
cool.
so what's funny is that my kids got so used to the routine that there were days that I would get home and just kind of like contemplate, am I going to go work out today? Because I'm exhausted. And I'd be like, they would get on me like, Mom, you got to go to the gym. It's time to go, you
Oh,
know?
nice.
And then
Yeah,
on the
that's great.
weekends, they would even go with me. They would kind of hang out in the aerobics room or something while I trained. And, but my kids have been great. I've been doing this since they were the ages of 3 and 5. And now they're 11 and soon to be 13.
Wow. Terrific. Yeah.
So yeah, they've been super supportive and encouraging, and then it helps too to have a partner. I'm married to Keith Holmes, who is also a professional bodybuilder,
Yeah.
and to have a partner who experiences that journey with you is great because they know what it takes too. So there's no guilt if I don't know, can't do something because I have to go train or, whatever the case is, because we're both on the same path. And he's a professional firefighter. And so
Oh,
our
wow.
lives are very busy between the both of us. So
Yeah. I was curious, have y'all ever tried to prepare for the same show?
always have since we met.
Oh, have you?
Actually,
Really?
our first show together was the 2019 Tampa Pro.
Wow.
We prepped together. Now that was difficult because that was to around the time of COVID. The gyms were closed.
Yeah.
I was actually training. As I mentioned to you, I lived in an apartment building, so that gym closed. My children had to live in Tallahassee with their father because I couldn't keep them at home since I was a nurse managing a COVID department at the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I did have my children away for 2 years, and that was a difficult situation. But
I
I
bet.
had ended up purchasing probably overpriced at the time equipment because everything was just so hard to get to, right?
Yeah. I know.
And I had a bunch of equipment. I had an SUV. I stored everything in my trunk, and I would get home from work, and literally, we had a parking garage that was enclosed. It was 9 floors, and I took my SUV all the way up to the ninth floor because there was never cars parked out there, and that's where I trained.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The garage was it had an incline, so I remember getting my bar with some 45s and doing walking lunges back and forth. I jumped rope, I did steps.
Wow.
I even set up a T-bar. I used bands, everything that I could get my hands on. I did in a hot garage to prep for 2019. And Keith was able to, he had a buddy of his that had a shop that had a gym in the back. And so he was able to kind of sneak out and do that. But once the gyms reopened, um, of course, you had to wear the mask, the social distancing, and all that stuff. We just kept it going. And so, yeah, we both got ready together for Tampa Pro 2019. And we've done that show together ever since we met.
That's so cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was curious because it just seems like you might be um uh you're both getting prepped and you're both got prep brain, you might be irritable and stuff. So, but it's
Yeah,
also kind of a common goal too.
yeah, but it works because I think having had been in my career, the responsibilities that I have as a nurse manager and the responsibilities of a mom, my prep brain doesn't seem to really kick in. Like I have to stay
Yeah,
um, focused. I may have to write things down, but for the most part, I think that for the both of us, I do a good job with managing our household and keeping things on track. Keith is just as supportive as I am of him. But I do, I think that, and not to say anything about him or men in general, I think it's just, women, we just tend to manage things differently.
yeah,
And
yes.
so I think that he would agree that I do a pretty good job, that when we're both on prep, that I'm still able to keep our home on track and things in order. And, I usually work on making sure, like, we're scheduling our stays and having the checklist to get things done. So we do fairly well. Like we balance each other out.
That's terrific. That's really cool. I'm glad to hear
Yeah.
that. I think that's neat that y'all can do that too. If you don't mind me asking, where do you work now?
I work for a hospital system called Memorial Healthcare.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, in Broward County. I've been with them for this July will be 3 years. Prior to that, I was with the Baptist Health South Florida, further down south, further south of where I am now for 12 years. And as I mentioned, I've been a nurse for 23 years in total.
Wow, that's terrific. That's really
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's rewarding work, I think. I mean, it's tough
it
work for
is.
sure, but yeah. Do they have you on call a lot of time?
No, I work
No.
Monday through Friday as a nurse manager.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
I don't take call, but as I mentioned, because I'm a leader, I do have 24 hours, 7 days a week accountability for my department.
Yeah.
So of course, text messages, emails, and phone calls I do take on the weekends, but mostly it's just to troubleshoot staffing or, to work on something with a staff member. But that's the most call that I would say that I take. I don't necessarily have to go in. Of course, if there's some type of natural or national emergency, then that makes things different, of course, like, during the times of COVID. But
Yeah.
generally, my
Yeah.
weekends are to myself.
It's nice you don't have to work overnight too. That'd be
Right.
yeah.
That would be insane. But yeah, no, but the life of a nurse, I think sometimes being at the bedside versus leadership, you only do 3 days a week. For me, it
Mhm.
is 5 days a week. So
Yeah,
those weeks are long because I get my days started as early as 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm usually not done between work, kids, and training until maybe like 11 o'clock at night, if
oh
sometimes not
wow.
later. So it's long days. It's definitely
Yeah.
long days.
A lot of RNs have 3 12-hour shifts, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And my
Mhm.
shifts are Monday through Friday. They're 8 hours, but sometimes, as a leader, you can't never, it's never really just 8 hours. Sometimes you may have to stay a little longer. Sometimes your days start and end at home. It just depends what's going on.
I got you. I understand.
Yeah.
Had your coworkers ever come to root for you at a show?
Yeah, actually, Southern States. I had a lot of people when I did that show. I was still with the organization down south, Baptist Health, and yeah, I had a lot of people from work come and support that. Yeah,
That's terrific. That's really
yeah,
cool. Yeah. Always good to have a good cheering section. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, would you say that down in Miami and Broward, is it like a strong bodybuilding community there?
Yeah, I would say that because we have just NPC itself. There's a lot of great shows that I've been part of as far as working. Either I've expedited or I've done award ceremonies with. But yeah, there's a huge support here for bodybuilding. Especially in Broward, most of the NPC shows are in Boca. If you know Rich Alvarez,
Yeah.
he has a show. The first call outs that I've supported. There's another promoter, Andres, who's done like the NPC, the Ruby, the Diamond. I've supported
Yeah.
those shows. There's
Nice.
Maria too with the Southern States. So these are, I'm sure I'm missing some, but yeah, I mean, they just had a workshop, a posing workshop in Boca Raton. I
Uh-huh.
wasn't part of that, but I'm again part of Mr. Tim Gardner's team. I travel with him, and I support every show. Like if they say, "Hey, can you come work the show?" I'm there. So
Yeah,
yeah, I would say that there's a large bodybuilding community in this area for sure.
that's terrific. Yeah.
Hmm.
I remember when the Nationals used to be in Miami, and I missed that. I just used to
Yeah,
that
yeah,
show,
you're right. It was.
and then it
Yeah,
was in Orlando for a while, and then now it's in Texas. So it's like
right. Yep.
I
Yeah.
liked it better when it was here, and when the Olympia was in Orlando too was nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope that they'll alternate again, maybe, or bring it
Yeah,
back to
it's
Orlando.
nice because we got to go to the first Olympia that was hosted in Orlando. We didn't attend. We attended the expo. It wasn't as big, of course, being that it was the first time and we're still coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
But I remember we didn't go to the show, but my husband and I, we had an Airbnb and we ended up just watching the live feed from the comfort of the place that we were staying at. But we attended the expo. We got to see a couple of friends and acquaintances, so it was a good time. I liked it worked out for us because we live in South Florida, so it was just a car trip and we found a comfortable place to stay. But yeah, maybe one day they'll reconsider, bringing them back.
I hope so too. It's just so convenient to be able to watch it from Florida and
Yeah.
I
And we
like to
have
see
a
it in Vegas too, but of course Orlando is just perfect.
right. And there's a big, just the state of Florida itself, all over. There's bodybuilders all over Florida that I know
Yeah,
they definitely would travel to support. So yeah.
I know. Yeah, I think it's great that there are so many good bodybuilding shows here, and yeah, it is. And for you as a competitor, I think it's just easier to drive versus fly. It's a
Yeah,
little better.
definitely.
Yeah,
Especially flying now is a little scary.
I know. Yeah, the like FAA is like
Oh,
losing
God.
staff and like what the heck, man? It's not good. I was curious, are your parents still alive?
My mother is. My father is not.
Okay.
My mother is a retired nurse. She lives
Oh,
in
nice.
South Florida herself. She's in her 70s. Never athletic, but I definitely got the nursing side from her. Both of my parents were born in Haiti,
Oh, yeah.
and
Okay.
were immigrants of Haiti. They moved to New York, and I was born in Brooklyn, New York. I didn't come to Florida until 1985.
Okay.
Um, and then, as far as my father is concerned, my father, we lost him January of 2010. So it's
Oh,
been 15 years this year.
yeah.
He was actually visiting Haiti at the time that the earthquake struck Haiti, if you remember
Oh,
that.
yeah. I
And
remember.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
we lost him that way.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, he
wow.
was only
Sorry.
60 years old when he passed. So yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
I was curious, is your mom supportive of your bodybuilding career?
Yes, my mom, she's never been to a show, but she's seen my progression, and always share pictures, and she knows that I'm traveling. She's lets me know she's praying for me, she's rooting for me. So yeah, she's been supportive.
That's great. I
Yeah,
know.
for a long time, she was my grandmother's caregiver. And we lost my grandmother October of last year. She lived to be 104 years old.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
Impressive.
yeah.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
it was hard for my mom to travel and do things, but so maybe one day soon she'll be in the audience. We'll see.
That's great. I know there's a big Haitian community in South Florida for sure. And
Yes, yes.
uh, that's great. No, that's very cool.
Hmm.
Um, and it's cool that, you're kind of continuing the nursing tradition. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I was curious, I just had a few more questions for you, but do you ever deal with like overbearing fans? I know, sometimes fans need to behave and not be doing weird shit.
Yeah, in the beginning, I had another Instagram page, but somehow it got hacked and then it was canceled, and I don't know how that works. But anyway, I do recall very early, especially in the DMs, just some inappropriate requests.
Hmm.
I never get mad. I get it. Everybody has their vices, their fetishes and stuff like that. But I would help
Mhm.
people to understand that before approaching me, to be mindful that I am not just a bodybuilder, but I am a woman, I am a mother.
Mhm.
I'm now someone's, wife. And so I tend to help people to understand, respectfully, like there's just certain ways that I don't appreciate being approached or
Mhm.
talked to.
Mhm.
And then of course there's the feature of just being able to block them, if
I
I have
know
to. But no, I've never had I mean, there's been some requests that have been odd. I don't want to say weird, and I certainly don't want to label people. People again, they just have their different vices, but I don't entertain a lot of it. My thing is that I love bodybuilding, but it's not my career.
Mhm.
I am a professional licensed nurse by the state of Florida.
Yeah.
I represent a great and healthy organization here in Broward County, and I'm also a wife and a mother of two girls. So
Yeah.
I'm very careful in how I present myself because I don't want to do anything to jeopardize any of those areas of my life.
Yeah.
And so I do not entertain certain things for the sake of recognition or satisfying a fan or having a big following on social media.
Mhm.
Again, I appreciate everyone that supports me. I appreciate everyone that's a fan, no matter to what extreme they take it to. But for me, there's just certain things that I won't entertain because at the end of the day, I still have my livelihood,
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
be concerned about. And um, the long run for me is how I present myself outside of bodybuilding. And
Yeah.
and so I would say that I have a reputation to uphold, and that matters to me.
Oh, I think that makes sense, definitely. Yeah, and yeah, the block button can be your fan. I mean, your friend, I should say,
Mhm.
because yeah, sometimes the block people just need to be blocked because they're just weird and stuff. So. No, I totally understand that though, and it's good to set up those boundaries with fans too,
Mhm.
and make, hopefully I hope most of them are respectful. Would you say, yeah, you have to deal with trolls that much or
I have,
mhm.
and some have. You get a little bit of both worlds, right? You get some that really admire your physique, and again, I'm never rude. I will answer a question or speak to someone in person, but if I feel then you're starting to cross a certain line, I just respectfully help you to understand I'm not comfortable with the conversation. I will
Mhm.
give you an opportunity to stop, but if then you continue, then I just tell you, okay, this has gone too far and I'll block you. And then you
Mhm.
have the other side of it, like, oh, you look like a man, and why do you do this to your body? And you know,
Mhm.
and it's interesting. And like I don't get those type of people because why are you even on my page if you feel that way?
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
why are you here? You
Uh-huh.
know, like if you don't like it, why are you looking at it? Why are you commenting? Like that part is strange to me. So,
Yeah.
but I never go into this back and forth with people. I will say something once and then after that I'm done. I'm not
Yeah.
going to argue with someone that I can't even see. Like that just doesn't make any sense to me. But like I said, it to each his own.
Yeah. Yeah,
I,
definitely
I'm
agree.
I'm a grown woman. I could handle the opinions. I could handle the criticism. I just don't tolerate disrespect. So
Yeah, I
um,
agree. Yeah.
we just move on from there.
I think that's good. No, I think that's smart and that's a good way to handle it too, that situation.
Hmm.
Um, Now I'm 51, so I remember back when bodybuilding was on TV back in the 80s and 90s, and I met referred to Linda Murray back when she competed and was on TV. But how do you think we could get bodybuilding back on TV? I don't understand why all these cable networks they can show darts and they can show cornhole, but not bodybuilding. Like, what's the deal?
I think that we are an industry that is just so hard to understand and unfortunately has had a lot of negative stigma attached to it.
Yeah.
There never seems to be the word bodybuilding without the use of steroid use,
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
and or the abuse of steroids. And there, it's hard because it's just that I guess maybe most networks, big networks, believe that if we promote this sport, are we also saying that we condone how these athletes are treating their bodies when it comes to certain, protocols and supplements, etc. I don't know. Not everyone feels the same way about how they grow. Not everybody utilizes the same things. I mean,
Yeah.
but I
That's true.
think that because of that attachment with bodybuilding, that a lot of networks will be very cautious. They're very cautious in displaying it. Now we know there's other publicized sports that their athletes probably do, but
Mhm. Yeah.
it, they don't look like us. They're
Hmm.
the muscles are not that way, and there's this thing like, oh, you can't naturally look that way, and for some people you can actually, but there's
Yeah.
just that there's always going to be that attachment. Like, I don't think that because we're unable to separate bodybuilding with the use of enhancement drugs, that any network is going to feel comfortable displaying that on big networks. And I think that maybe they feel that if they do, are they now going to be criticized for condoning that type
Mhm.
of um, enhancement? When it comes to use of enhancement drugs. So I
Yeah.
think I don't unfortunately see us coming back to mainstream television in that
Okay.
way.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
because of that, that's
Hmm.
just my opinion. But if I had to guess, I think that's probably what it is.
I
Um,
got you. Yeah. That one thing I liked about it back in the day was a lot of competitors said that they were inspired when they saw a bodybuilding competition on ESPN because they'd never even seen it before, and so it sparked that curiosity. So I think it would be a way to grow the sport if you could get it back on mainstream TV.
Yeah,
To
I
kind of,
agree. And
yeah.
and and there are people, just in the public that just yesterday I was at an event with one of my children, supporting her.
Mm.
And this young lady walks up to me and she said, I just want to let you know that you're phenomenal. You look so awesome. And being that it's Women's Internationals Day, I just wanted to wish you that and just keep doing your thing, queen. And she was a teenage girl, and
Wow, nice.
here I am in my late 40s, and I could inspire a young woman who's about my child's age, if not just maybe a year or two older, to
Yeah.
come up and say that. And so I do have a lot of young girls when I'm around my children that have helped me to understand that they love my physique. They think that I look great. How can, I be like you? And they ask nutritional questions. They ask about training. So, I'm happy to set that type of tone when people see me. I'm not looked upon just as a bodybuilder. I'm looked at a woman who I get a lot of people who more often say what you do takes a lot of discipline, and I
Mhm.
love that about you. And I admire that about you.
Mhm.
Especially with your career, especially that you have children, you could still make this happen. So I'm happy that when I go around people, that's what I inspire. I don't have a lot of people that are looking at me like I'm a freak of nature. And, I have the occasional, well, how much do you bench press and how much do you curl? Those type of questions, of course. But for the most part, I do have, because I'm very active in my children's lives when it comes to academics and extracurricular activities, that I'm present, that I've had a lot of young people ask, like, if I wanted to do this, how can I go about it? And
Okay.
so I have those conversations where it's really at a point, even at work, I would say amongst my coworkers, that I'm promoting more health conscious decisions than we're just talking about bodybuilding. So
Okay.
it would be great if we had more forums maybe that pushed bodybuilding in that direction, where we're talking about, not just what it takes to be a bodybuilder, not just talking about some type of protocol, but discussing the health benefits that come along with choosing this lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because,
I got you.
David, I'm 49 years old, and I could tell you, if I had not gone this route, I probably would not look the way that I do at 49. Because in my family, larger women, obesity, you know, diabetes, hypertension, that exists,
Mhm.
in my genetics, in my family.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
so, I think maybe I would have been going a different route if bodybuilding had not found me. Um,
Yeah.
but I guess until we could probably even spin it that way, um, I wish people could see that there are actually some benefits. I know some of the mishaps that have happened with athletes and making some decisions when it comes to certain enhancement uses or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's not really the norm. It's not what people think. Like
Yeah.
it just seems to be highlighted because when something's in a small number and then
Hmm.
it's brought out, it looks huge. It
Hmm.
looks like
Yeah.
it's the norm versus it not being the norm. If we were able to change that dialect and focus and show the benefits of how living this lifestyle actually has, because look, you have people, look at Phil Heath,
Hmm.
who's no longer competing, but look at his lifestyle, and this man still looks great
He
doing what he
does.
does. That's just an example because this is someone who has chosen a lifestyle that's no longer competitively doing bodybuilding, but has a great physique, that's living a good, healthy life. So there's some benefits if we could highlight that more, than the small negative stories here and there of bodybuilding. It probably would make a difference. Did I answer the question? I think I did.
You did. No, no,
Okay.
I love that. I think that's great. One thing that I've talked to about with some ladies is maybe there's opportunity like on Netflix to do like uh, a reality show with muscle mamas, bodybuilders who are moms. But I just think that would be really interesting because I think, with all that you juggle with kids and husband and work and the bodybuilding lifestyle, I think it would be an interesting thing to watch.
Or
And
just women in bodybuilding, period. Because even if you're not a mom, you're still a career woman that's a
Mhm.
bodybuilder. You're a business owner that's a bodybuilder, and it would be nice. I mean, shoot, we do all these reality TV shows with housewives and Hip Hop Atlanta and all that stuff. That really it's all drama, and what does it really benefit except for like a little thrill and guilty pleasure in somebody else's messy life? But it would be nice in some ways to promote, and not even just focusing so much just saying bodybuilding, but women who believe in maintaining a healthy lifestyle while juggling other things. And then
Mhm.
maybe in that lifestyle we've chosen to go the route of bodybuilding, and how we make it all happen. I don't know, but it would be nice. To kind of really realize that bodybuilding is not just about enhancement drugs and just looking freakishly big. And a lot of us do it because it really does make us feel good about ourselves, mentally, physically, emotionally. Maybe even
Mhm.
some people will say that it's a spiritual thing for them too. I don't know, but
Yeah.
for me, I feel like it's providing me a lot of benefit in my confidence, and not even just being a woman, but it gives me a certain confidence in being a nurse manager, because there's an assertiveness about me as a woman, and in every area where I practice as a wife, as a nurse manager, and as a mother, that I think bodybuilding has allowed me. And when I mean assertiveness, I'm not talking about aggression. There's a difference. I'm talking
Yeah.
about that it's strengthened me in a way that I feel confident enough that when I am in a room with other leaders, that I could confidently speak up. Or if I'm dealing with something because of my child's academics, or I have to speak up as a mom, I could confidently do that.
Mhm.
And then as a wife, of course, because my husband's a bodybuilder, I feel that I could better support him because of what I'm doing. So
Mhm.
it provides, like I said, just more than the aesthetics and the physical appearance. I think that there's so much more that being a muscle mom, wife, or woman offers us to be able to really grow in other ways, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That's a really good point. And it's a good message to say, I think, too. And and when ladies, a couple ladies I had on recently, we had the idea of calling it the Swole Housewives.
I love it.
That might be kind of cool.
That would be kind of cool.
And
Let's
then,
try a little pilot and see how it does.
and I think the producers would still try to get some drama in there and like be like bottles thrown, you know. No, I'm just teasing.
No, we want to maintain a positive look.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Oh man. So I'm just about done with the interview and thank you again for your time. But I was wondering if
It's
there's
been
anybody you'd like
great.
to shout out or anything that I missed that you'd like to address?
No, I don't think so. I think the questions were great. I think I did a good job recognizing some great mentors in my life throughout this journey. And again, just having the support of my Instagram followers, my fans. And when I say fans, I mean, it's nice when I could show up somewhere and someone like, oh, because I don't know everyone that follows me, but again, I've had people say I'm a fan. I'm like, wow, okay, thank you, and
Uh-huh.
and two, I don't know who some of these people are, but all these Google videos and collages that I find of well, not I find, my children have Googled my name and have found, and I'm
Uh-huh.
grateful that they've been all in good taste.
Oh,
Um,
good. Good.
because I'm very careful about that too.
Yeah.
I would like to thank those individuals because sometimes I don't know where the videos or the collages come from, but some of them are really well put together. And
Nice.
I'm grateful that I have people who think of me in that way to want to highlight me in that way. Um, you know, Big or small time as far as, where I am in the sport. I'm just grateful for the opportunity that I do have to get on stage. At the end of the day, for me, David, it really is just about just being a positive influence and an example. And as I said, because I am raising two young girls, they definitely set the tone for me to make sure that I am always mindful about who I am and what I do. And so I try to live every aspect of my life in a way that they will be proud of. And I think it's
Mhm.
paying off. So I'm really appreciative for everyone who's been so supportive throughout these years. I'm not a big time name in bodybuilding, at least not as of yet. But I'm very appreciative of those people who have taken the time to follow me, to mention me, to interview me, such as yourself. I'm very grateful for that, and I
Mhm.
really do appreciate the continued support.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And that's I think that's good for the fans to hear that too. So yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I was curious, do you have any sponsors? Are you interested in picking up sponsors?
I have in the past, but I think too what happened, out of respect too for the sponsors that I had, small businesses sometimes do take a hit. I think that COVID did financially impact a couple of people. So, but I
Mm.
still support them. I had a suit sponsor, but there was a decision to not keep me on as an athlete simply because of financial reasons. And again, I respect that. Love the
Yeah.
suits. I still wear the suits, because it is what it is. I mean, would I like
Yeah.
to get more eventually? Yes, but I know that. Um, um, Huge followings, as far as a social media popularity type of thing plays a big role.
Yeah.
I hopefully I could change that this season, and if not, maybe someone will even see this um, video of us and be like, you know what, I like her personality, or
Yeah.
she could
Yeah.
be a positive influence, even though she's not that popular. I do believe that I have a good platform when it comes to just women encouragement and positivity. So maybe someone would even want to bank on that. But as of right now, no, I don't have any sponsors. But
Cool. Yeah,
hopefully
maybe
in the future.
folks listening in maybe will want to reach out. So that would be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great. And I would be very grateful for sure. I'm a hard worker and, I do believe in supporting small businesses, which is a lot of what these sponsors are too. They're not
Yeah.
huge companies. Some of them are working out of their homes, a small warehouse, and they're just looking for people to put their business out there. So absolutely, when I have been sponsored by people, I post a lot. I'm very engaging. I always talk to people about the business. I'm a big supporter of local shows too. So,
Okay.
whatever it takes, because at the end of the day, for me, it's not just about the sponsorship. It's also about highlighting and supporting a small business. And because
Yeah.
in the past, I've been a small business owner myself, I understand the importance of that.
That's a good point. That's a good message too, I think. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. Well, thank you so much.
It's
Would you
been a
mind?
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. Would you mind doing a quick bicep flex for me?
Yeah.
Wow,
Can you
yeah,
see
your
both?
arms.
I don't know if I'm in the frame or not.
Oh no, you look great there. No, thank
Okay.
you. Yeah, your arms look great. Amazing.
Thank you.
And as I said, I'll probably get this posted maybe tomorrow morning, most likely.
Okay.
So I'll tag you, of course. But thank you again so much for your time. I really appreciate it,
You're
and
welcome.
best wishes to you competing this year. Definitely, I'll be
Thank you.
rooting.
And I'll be seeing you around, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thank you, Daphne.
Thank you. Have a great night, David.
Thanks.
Bye.